Welcome back, dear viewers. You're still watching Arab Affairs, and to shed more light on the Palestinian issue and the developments in the Gaza Strip, we are delighted to be joined over the phone by Mr. Ramzy Khoury, the Jordanian journalist. Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, Lamia.
It's always a pleasure having you with us on Nile TV International. So, Mr. Ramzy, how do you view the recent Israeli escalations and the intensification of its strikes on the Gaza Strip?
It's an ongoing genocide, Lamia. Since yesterday, we're talking about 90-some Palestinian civilians have been killed by direct attack on the tents where they're living. All of these are Palestinians who've lost their homes. They have moved out of the areas, the original areas where they used to live, and were placed in tents. And what Israel is doing now is it's attacking the tents with rockets. The other thing that is notable is that Israel is using burning rockets, rockets that burn people, and therefore the number of casualties that try to reach hospitals with major burns on their bodies is very high. Over 200 Palestinians were injured since yesterday, else than the 90-some Palestinians were killed. And all of these are civilians, and therefore, and they are targeted on purpose. And Israel knows who they are, knows exactly their location, and therefore this is a war crime.
And so, Mr. Ramzy, what about the humanitarian aid, the blockade of humanitarian aid in Gaza, and how people are living and striving in life there?
The World Food Program issued a call today, an emergency call, saying that the Palestinians are running out of food, and they've almost run out of food altogether. And if aid doesn't come into Gaza immediately, then we are going to start a phase of starvation. So this is basically how it is. Hospitals have been attacked and destroyed. So we have major issues on three major fronts. The first front, obviously, is the attack that is on the houses, the tents where people are living, and therefore it's no longer safe for them to just be under tents somewhere. And all of these areas are areas that were designated by Israel as safe areas. This is why the Palestinians went there, and they're getting attacked where they're supposed to be safe. The second issue is the fact that Gaza is running out of food. And the third issue is that Gaza is running out of medical care. The hospitals are unable to supply services. Medicines and medical tools are lacking in a very big way. And therefore, what is going on now, and all of these three issues call for death. So Palestinians are facing death, and that is going to exacerbate in the next few days if nothing is done. So unless this Israeli siege is broken and aid is allowed in again, we are going to start seeing the numbers of dead Palestinians rise in a very dramatic way.
Israel is even attacking civil defense crews. While they are attacking, apart of course from attacking women and children, civilians, why they are attacking even civil defense crews as well?
Civil defense crews, just like doctors, nurses, they provide a service to the Palestinians. And therefore, Israel's scheme is very straightforward. If they destroy all the means of survival, then the Palestinians will pack up and leave. This is the idea, and this is what Israel wants to see, and this is what Israel is pushing for. And they're not hiding it. They're very clear regarding that. almost every day we get an Israeli minister, if not the prime minister himself, coming out and saying that the Palestinians will be allowed to voluntarily leave Gaza. Basically, what they mean by that is that we will make it totally impossible for them to stay, and therefore they will leave without us throwing them out by force. And so basically, by killing all of these medical personnel, the civil personnel who provide the service, by destroying hospitals, by making sure that no place is safe to stay, even if it's a safe or an area that was designated by Israel as a safe area, by removing all of these safety nets, if you like, by removing the whole safety net of the Palestinian people and telling them, by the way, you are going to starve, or if you get sick, nobody is going to be able to help you, then the Palestinians don't have a choice but to pack up and leave. And therefore, the onus is now on the international community to ensure that there is a safety net for the Palestinians inside of Gaza.
To what extent the Western or the international community can put pressure on Israel to stop these brutal attacks against civilians and against civil defense crews and innocent people?
The pressure is very easy to do. If the international community comes and says we are putting sanctions on Israel and we will not sell Israel any arms, or we will allow the boycott of Israeli products and therefore Israel's economy will be harmed, then Israel will take that extremely seriously. The problem is that none of this is happening. And the reason is because Israel feels total impunity because of the way the United States is blindingly supporting it. So even, let's say, the calls inside of Europe that have been rising for over a year now, calling for a boycott of Israel, demanding that the European governments take action in the form of sanctions or any other form of action. For as long as America is protecting Israel, then Europe doesn't dare do anything. And we have the same thing with the cases that we have in front of the International Court of Justice or the International Criminal Court. Both cases are moving in a very, very slow manner because of American obstacles. So the United States of America really needs to revisit its policy towards Israel, and especially in terms of the fact that all of this support for Israel makes the United States of America a full partner in genocide, and then what's going on with the Palestinian people. How is that to the benefit of the United States of America, and how does that cover the interests of the United States of America? So it's extremely important to put pressure on America in order to at least ease or lower the level of support that they are giving Israel and the kind of protection that Israel has, whether it's at the United Nations Security Council or anywhere else, including the relationship, the bilateral relationship between European countries and Israel. So this pressure is vital. Otherwise, this is going to continue until Israel achieves its goal of emptying Gaza of the whole population, which is total ethnic cleansing.
Yes, Mr.
And taking it over.
In your opinion, to what extent is there a chance to reach a ceasefire agreement again, and amidst the Israeli escalation on the one hand and Western support on the other hand, and at the same time Hamas refused what it calls the partial agreements?
Well, no, Hamas did not actually refuse what was put before it by Egypt and Qatar. What Hamas refused is the Israeli demand that Hamas should actually release all of the prisoners of war without a final agreement for a ceasefire. Which,
I mean, they need a whole, they insist
Hamas,
on a whole agreement, not partial agreement from the Israeli side.
Absolutely, because the partial agreement is ridiculous. The partial agreement is basically simple. You give us all of the Israeli prisoners that you have, and then we're going to come and continue to kill you and to kill the Palestinian people, and nothing is going to stop. This is what a partial agreement means. And this is basically what Israel is demanding, and this is what all Palestinians have rejected. The only time you are going to resolve your problems is when you actually resolve the Palestinian problem of your existence inside of Gaza. The occupation, the siege of Rafah, and now Israel is looking at military plans to actually invade inside of Rafah and all of the other Palestinian areas. So we're going to go back to that kind of mayhem that we saw in the past year and a half. And if Hamas was to accept this, then what Hamas is accepting is the death of the Palestinian civilians and the Palestinian people. Yes. So Hamas is not allowed to accept that kind of...
yes.
It's not an offer, and it's not a proposal, and it's not a plan.
So what's the way out, Mr. Ramzy? I mean,
the
how to reach a ceasefire soon?
Right, but really, in practical terms, what we need is for the United States of America to be convinced that enough is enough, and this needs to stop. Because it's not just Israel that's paying a price at a global level, but the United States of America, as a full partner in this genocide, is also paying a price. Everybody knows that it is America that is allowing all of this to happen, and by the way, the Israelis are not killing the Palestinians with Israeli ammunition or Israeli weapons. The Israelis are killing the Palestinians with American weapons and American ammunition.
Yes.
Yeah, and the United States of America is supplying Israel with all of that, and therefore it is a full partner. So the practical thing is for America to tell Israel enough is enough, you need to stop now. And if that happens, Israel will stop immediately.
And Mr. Ramzy, what are the chances of implementing the Arab Islamic plan of the early recovery and reconstruction of Gaza while keeping people on their homeland?
Well, that can't stop until there is a permanent ceasefire. That cannot start, but of course it has to start. And the Arab and Islamic plan that has been crafted is actually the only solution. There is no other solution that is acceptable to the Palestinian people or even to humanitarian law. There is no other road to peace or in the region without implementing that. But how is that going to start before a ceasefire starts? And therefore it was very interesting because the Arabs are coming out and saying we did have an agreement that Israel signed to, that is supposed to be guaranteed by the United States of America. Hamas adhered to it. But Israel did not adhere to it. Israel broke that agreement. So the other question that is out there, even if Israel now agrees to a permanent ceasefire, etc., 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 what is the guarantee that Israel is going to abide by the agreement? Because such an agreement was reached before, and it was acceptable to all parties. And if Israel had adhered to it, we would today be seeing the implementation of the Arab plan. Even the issue of who is going to control Gaza in the future, or who is going to run Gaza in the future. Hamas has accepted the Egyptian proposal on this. And therefore, we don't even have that problem on the table. And that is a problem that was created by Israel in order to make sure that there is no ceasefire and no permanent agreement is reached. Yet Hamas accepted that, and therefore there should not be any obstacle that would impede reaching another agreement, yet another permanent agreement. The obstacle is Israeli policy. Israel thinks that they have the greatest chance since the creation of the State of Israel in 1948 to actually ethnically cleanse a part of Palestine and to annex it. And if they succeed in doing that in Gaza, we're going to see them do that in the West Bank. They already started in the West Bank. All of this business of bulldozers going into towns in the north of the West Bank and demolishing hundreds of homes, hundreds of structures, and opening roads and creating military outposts inside of Palestinian refugee camps and cities. The whole idea behind that is in order for them to be able to annex the West Bank. But they don't want to annex the West Bank with Palestinians living there.
Hopefully, Mr. Ramzy will achieve
a
a ceasefire soon, but let's move to the developments in Yemen. Would you please remain with us on phone and to watch first report about the developments in Yemen, and then we'll have your insightful information again on this development where U.S. strikes on a Yemeni fuel port killed at least 80 people in the deadliest attack of Washington's 15-month campaign against the Houthi group. The strikes came as the United States prepares to resume negotiations with Iran over its nuclear program in Rome on Saturday. We have the details. U.S. strikes on a Yemeni fuel port killed at least 80 people in the deadliest attack of Washington's 15-month campaign against the Houthi group. The U.S. military said the strikes on Ras Isa aim to cut off supplies and funds for the rebels that control large swaths of the Arabian Peninsula's poorest country. Houthi media later reported fresh strikes in and around the capital Sana'a on Friday night. The Houthis later announced missile attacks targeting Israel and 2 U.S. aircraft carriers. Israel's military said it had intercepted a missile launched from Yemen. The strikes came as the United States prepares to resume negotiations with Iran over its nuclear program in Rome on Saturday, following warnings that Tehran is getting closer to building an atomic weapon. The U.S. military has hammered the Houthis with near-daily airstrikes for the past month in a bid to stamp out their attacks on shipping in the Red Sea and Gulf of Aden. Authorities at the port said the attack had caused significant damage that will affect navigation and the supply of oil. The U.S. strikes began in January 2024 but have multiplied under Trump, starting with an offensive that killed 53 people on March 15th. The U.S. bombing campaign intensified last month following Houthi threats to resume attacks on international shipping in protest at Israel's blockade of aid to Gaza. Welcome back, dear viewers. We are still having Mr. Ramzy Khoury, the Jordanian journalist, with us by phone. So, Mr. Ramzy, you followed this report and the recent developments in Yemen. How do you see or how do you assess the current developments?
Well, the current development, we have American attacks on Yemen almost on a daily basis. And these attacks are rising in terms of damage and destruction. The attacks on the ports, especially, and the fuel facilities, have been devastating in terms of devastation to the infrastructure, but of course also to the dozens of people who were actually killed in these attacks. Again, why is Yemen doing what it is doing, and the Houthis doing what they are doing? The only time the Yemenis attacked ships or threw rockets was when the Israelis were committing genocide or are committing genocide inside of Gaza. And they made it very clear, the minute that stops, we stop. And during the past, when there was a short ceasefire, the Israelis stopped, the Houthis stopped all of their operations. whether in the on sea or whether the firing of rockets and whatever. And the Americans are saying that they are attacking Yemen because of the Houthi operations that are disrupting international trade. It's true, it is disrupting international trade, and actually the Arabs are the countries that are paying the biggest price of all of this. May it be Egypt or Jordan or all of these countries that are on the Red Sea and depend on Red Sea shipments. They're paying the price. But for the Americans to actually attack the Houthis and to attack Yemen because of these operations, which are in turn because of Israeli actions in Gaza, and the Houthis believe that this is the only way they can support the Palestinians, America is actually fighting a war on behalf of Israel. America is attacking Yemen on behalf of Israel. If we look at it from the full perspective, not from the middle of the road perspective, if you like.
And Mr. Ramzy, how do you relate this escalation and airstrikes on Yemen with the US-Iranian talks in Rome on the nuclear program, Iran's nuclear program?
Again, the attacks on Yemen right now will put pressure on Iran. It's a message to Iran that the Americans are willing to use force, military force, in order to resolve any issues that are pending with Iran, or what America calls the clients of Iran, such as the Houthis in Yemen. So yeah, the idea here is that this is a message. Yet, the Americans came out and said that if there is going to be an attack on on Iran, then it's not the United States that is going to conduct it, but Israel. And that is fascinating in itself. Why isn't Israel attacking Yemen and the Houthis? Why is America doing that? And why isn't America attacking Iran if there is an attack on Iran in order to destroy their nuclear capabilities, according to the United States and according to Israel? Why would Israel be doing that? In all honesty, it is all some sort of a wheeler-dealer kind of negotiation style that is Mr. Trump conducting with the Iranians. And what the Iranians did, they went to Russia in order to solidify their relationship with Russia even more. The Russians came out with a statement only yesterday, saying that they are willing to arbitrate negotiations between the United States of America and Iran. And all of this is happening. Why is it happening? And it is happening because Israel is actually conducting a genocide in Palestine. And the Israelis are not stopping. And we are not reaching a ceasefire agreement. What needs to be done is a ceasefire agreement. The Houthis will stop. Now, the Iranians would also, it becomes much easier to reach a nuclear agreement between the United States and Iran, and between Europe and Iran, if the ceasefire stops. The ceasefire happens, a permanent ceasefire agreement is reached, and the Palestinians are no longer getting killed. And unfortunately, the United States of America is insisting on separating the two issues. But they're not separated. They are connected, and they are intertwined. And there is absolutely no need to have a war on Yemen, or to attack Yemen, or to have problems in the Red Sea or in the Arabian Sea. All of this will stop if there was a permanent ceasefire. The other issue with Iran has declared a million times they don't want to have a nuclear bomb. But today we hear the Americans raising the bar in a very dramatic way. And they are saying that Iran has to dismantle its nuclear program. Well, Iran would never do that. The Iranian nuclear program is there in order to produce energy. And there are so many countries on earth that are using nuclear energy. So to come and to tell the Iranians who have been building their nuclear energy program for the past several decades, you have to dismantle it.
So
Such a statement would definitely destroy any possibility to reach an agreement.
So, Mr. Ramzy, to what extent is the navigation in the Red Sea affected by the U.S. strikes against Yemen?
I'm so sorry, but the line is very noisy. I couldn't hear the question.
I'm asking about to what extent is the navigation in the Red Sea affected by the U.S. strikes?
The navigation in the Red Sea, of course, for as long as there are attacks going on in the Red Sea, the navigation is affected. When the Americans attack the Houthis, what the Houthis are doing is they're attacking the American vessels in the Red Sea. And obviously, there is a very big problem regarding the traffic in the Red Sea anyway. There are so many ships that are not able to go through the Red Sea because insurance costs are extremely high because of the possibility of getting attacked and whatever. And therefore, the whole traffic has shrunk in a very dramatic way since this 7th of October last year. So there is a very big problem, but the Houthis are attacking American military vessels in the Red Sea. So the Red Sea has become a war zone. And that is not going to stop unless the issue is resolved, and the issue has to do with Gaza.
Thank you so much, Mr. Ramzy Khoury, the Jordanian journalist, on your valuable information and insight. It's always a pleasure having you with us on Nile TV International.